Thank you for that one, Dash, but confident words here. Team Fusion, despite the fact that they are currently down 0-2. We saw them make the miracle comeback before. Let's see if they can do it again.
Yeah, did they have 2 in them, and especially against Curse Academy? And the fact that they had, you know, the 0-2 yesterday against a team that did have, you know, they were going 2-on-2 against them. They were kind of like, we have more tools in our toolbox. We have more strategies to throw at them. I don't really know what Fusion has left. They've tried the lane swap. They've tried going 2-on-2. They've been called out on things. And I think Curse Academy has a lot of the answers that Fusion, to the questions that Fusion throw out there. It's really difficult for them. They're going to have to try something very different, especially in the pick ban phase.
And they have certainly had quite a lot going on in consistent picks and consistent strategies, but they're starting to get figured out. Those weaknesses have started to be revealed. The lane swap has been beaten. The consistent Jarvan use by Nintendo, the invade. These are tried and true for them in the set against Final 5, and it bailed them out quite a lot. But at this point, you have to come up with something new. They just haven't really been innovating on the fly this series so far, and Curse Academy, neither have they, but they're winning.
Yeah, they haven't had to adjust their strategy because they haven't been forced to. Nobody's been calling them on things. They've been kind of reactive to what they saw from Fusion before, and the fact that, you know, we just heard them say they scrim each other all the time and they know what they have to do. Really interested to see what they end up doing, because if their scrim strategy was to ban out St. Vicious before and now it's not working, they had to come up with something very new, very fresh.
Yeah, and I'm sure they didn't see the Jungle Karthus in the scrims. Well, would have been a pretty wild one if that were the case, but he always saves a little bit in the back pocket. This guy with the jungle tier list is always coming up with new stuff off the back of every new patch. And 4.20 is a massive boon for St. Vicious. It has been. Fusion, we know that they weren't feeling incredibly confident in this patch compared to others. They thought they were the strongest team on 4.19, but times have changed.
Yeah, a lot of that originates from the jungle, and when you do get lane swapped on, you know, they have been moving their top laner around with them. But lane swaps weren't that prevalent in 4.19. Near the end of it, people were not lane swapping for the most part. They were just having their top laners go head-to-head and just having those matchups. And now, it seems to be a little bit more back to that type of style.
And it's been a while. We had 4.19 kind of sitting around there on the live servers for quite some time, and it gave people a chance to really figure out optimal strategies longer than usual. And, of course, 4.20 comes rumbling along and really changes the entire game.
Yeah, people got to pick up Lissandra, you got to pick up LeBlanc if you didn't play it before. You got to be a top laner that can handle these new jungle lane swaps and like what the route is, and you don't get to be as aggressive as you got to be on 4.19.
And also Fusion, that last game in particular, they didn't really trust their carries to carry. That was sort of the awkward part of the whole thing, that they tried the lane swap, they tried to run MacNoon around, but in the end, it only put him so far behind, he couldn't do anything for his team. And that guy has just been such a massive part of Fusion's success. You cannot let him not get experience for the entire early game phase.
Yeah, and MacNoon has not been having the greatest games in the past 2 games. 5, 8, and 4 on Rumble, 3, 6, and 8 on Kassadin. And those are champions that they prioritized. We saw the first pick Kassadin. I don't know how much I'm going to say that, but I feel like their pick ban needs a little bit of an adjustment, especially since Curse Academy got to run more of the same. And it was basically a repeat of the last game, except more dragons.
We'll have to see what happens this time. So Curse Academy takes to banning out the Gnar on blue side. Warwick is banned away. That's not necessarily a Saint target. It's just a general thing you want to look at. And Jace is also banned away. That's the second time that's happened, by the way. Pretty smart, because it hurts both MacNoon and Hui.
Here's the thing, is that Warwick is not something that Fusion has been playing, and they have been banning it even when blue side. So I don't know if it's in Nintendo's champion pool, or if he's confident on that champion to play in a competitive environment.
Makes a lot of sense if that's the case. Now, Corki is also banned away from COP, and he won't get that one. He was a pretty big part of the success. The mobility was part of what made Curse Academy so successful. So that's a nice adjustment coming out from Fusion here, and they have started to mix it up just a little bit. We'll see if we see another jungle ban or something different.
COP got to play Corki both games, and he went 6-1 and 12, and then 12-3 and 14. He's only died 4 times and got 18 kills for himself.
Here on Curse Academy, Kassadin's banned out, so and that is a pretty good start as well. And we know Hui and MacNoon can both play at the Thresh. This is what they needed to ban out here, because Bunny was just landing those hooks left and right.
Yeah, and remember when I was saying that the match that Fusion played against Final 5, they had to ban out the top 80 carry of Prototype, and they had to ban out the top support of Rule 18 in order for Nian to have a good lane and to go even, or actually dominate the lane in a 2-on-2, but then they just kept lane swapping it.
Yeah, I think we might see something a little bit different that time as well. So for the time being, though, Keen is going to get his hands on the Zed again. He was so effective at split pushing and dragging Fusion all across the map.
Yeah, just very consistent on that champion. He's just been going to it every time that it's up. He's able to play it as a split pusher, he's able to play it as an assassin, and he's able to get these Zonians off of these high priority targets or cause them to use it reactively.
Yeah, Lissandra, of course, not first pick, so that one's left open, snapped up pretty quickly, or rather they're hovering it just to think about what they want to do, but it's a very strong pickup. Nian clearly very comfortable on Lucian. Here we go again.
This will mean that Hauntzer is going to play the Maokai into the Lissandra as a hard counter.
Oh my goodness, so that leaves that option up for Keen to be able to do something a little bit different here. Again, that counter picking, that's really been a big part of Curse Academy's strategy, but we haven't seen it this set so much because they've been giving so much away on Fusion's side.
Yeah, and the fact that they take the Lucian very early on is good for Nian Tanso. There isn't as many answers left. Cop can fall back on something like Graves or Sivir, which he has played a lot of in this tournament so far, and be that lane bully still.
He's only had one death on Sivir in this tournament.
Yep.
He's incredibly safe. And again, we always talk about Cobb's consistency. That's sort of the fame that he has to claim, especially. But Sivir is a fairly safe zoning champion. It's really hard to avoid the damage and also return a lot, but it has been making a comeback on this patch. I'm not sure how effective it'll necessarily be in this case comparatively to some other things, but it's definitely Cobb's style.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, is that if you get this combined with something like a Maokai, you have a lot of disengage and engage potential between the Sivir and the Janna. So I think that's a really good lane that they crafted for themselves in that bottom lane. And I was talking about how Bunny Fufu has been going all in on League of Legends lately, so he doesn't just know Thresh and Morgana anymore. He knows Janna, he knows Nami very well. He knows all these different champions. Soraka's still in his back pocket. Like, he has all these champions that he plays and plays at a very proficient level. And apparently, how quickly he picks up new supports and excels and becomes masters of them is scary.
Yeah, Bunny, you know, it's not just Keen that's a machine. All these guys are working so incredibly hard to make this happen. And this is why Curse Academy, they're on that one game away from making it into the LCS. Still debating what they pick last, and I think you could be right about that.
Yep.
It switched, but as soon as I say it, of course, they start looking at the Maokai. It was left open this time, and of course, Saint, why mess with success? The Jarvan worked, or excuse me, the Pantheon worked out last time. The Jarvan not so much, but we will see. It looks like that same matchup in the jungle.
Yeah, like he gets his pick of the litter. He's going to prioritize.
Oh, never mind.
This. It makes sense because now they have the AoE composition, and the Sivir ultimate's going to help Karthus get into the fight and do that AoE damage that he wants to do.
Jungle Karthus once again. Of course, it was banned away in that last game. And Nintendo's still trusting to this Jarvan. I really want to touch on this because he has played no other champion in 7 games now. Well, of course, Glebe is going to get the Nami lock-in. So that's been a pretty comfortable pick for him. I think it's making a lot of sense with the Lucian lane just because of the way that he can empower those double shots. Tidecaller's Blessing and all that will help him out pretty big in the laning phase. And I think this time they do want to take the 2v2.
Yeah, they banned out those 2 champions, and they're going to go try to them. Nami does fairly well in this lane, sustains up, harasses, and that's going to be a mid lane Ezreal for Huhi.
Indeed, and it'll be up against, wait a minute, wait just a minute. Oh, for a second I thought maybe mid lane Karthus and jungle Maokai, but that's not happening.
Oh,
they do what you thought.
Where's it going?
Wait a minute, they're juking us now.
I have no idea, but this is where it is going to end up being. Because Hauntzer going to want to play that Maokai as a hard counter into the Lissandra, and then he's going to also have the same Vicious back on the Karthus. It makes perfect sense. And now Huhi, he's got that Ezreal. He's going to build the tier into the Murmana, going to get a Trinity Force, and then probably a Blade of the Rune King after that. But the thing here is they have squishies all over the board here, and Karthus loves squishies.
Yes, he does, and it's really been kind of a battle of squishies all around the board in most of these fights. This time, Curse Academy picks himself up a little bit more beefy front line with Hauntzer, and
it just hit me too when I was talking about Righteous Glory. Maokai is the best top laner to take Righteous Glory on at the moment. It's basically your Randuin's / Talisman of Ascension together with a Rod of Ages, but without the AP, and it's crazy good. It's crazy efficient too, and the fact you're going to have that plus Sivir ultimate you're booking it into the enemy team with a Karthus. That Karthus is basically on a motorcycle coming straight at you.
Oh yeah, they have quite a lot of chase options here. So Curse Academy, they're looking pretty strong. They're looking like they want to take this last game, and it could be the very last game, but we'll have to find out. Fusion, they've been known to answer back. We'll see if they can do it again. But what do you guys think? We want to know. Keep tweeting us at LOL Esports using the hashtag LCS Expansion, and just keep on sending them in. It's going to be a good match, I think. I'm feeling it right now. I think Fusion, they could make this comeback, but it's going to be close. It's going to be hard. They were looking a little worried in those boosts, and last time they started to recover quite well.
They still looked really worried last time, too. That was a big thing. The worry is very potent. It's very palpable. You can see it on their faces, which is something like, they kind of have to calm themselves down, to force themselves to be calm. I remember Niantanso talking about how he kind of had to just force himself to be calm because you can't tilt.
You can't. Not when everything's on the line, of course. It won't all be over if they do lose this one. Fusion will still have a chance dropping to the lower bracket finals. However, it's so close. You've just got to win 3 games. You've just got to make it forward, and you can move yourself into the LCS. And this is big for this team. They're a newly formed team. They have a lot of experienced players, but they've only been together for a little while here. And if you manage to knock off Curse Academy, they were considered a pretty big favorite heading into this entire tournament with the 13 starting teams. That would be massive. And
it's
a
funny
chip on their shoulder.
Because there's like 3 favorites. It's like Fusion, Curse Academy, and Coast. They all made it here. Only 2 of them get to advance. And Final 5 is kind of like that wild card. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, those guys have definitely been pulling out some interesting stuff. But, I mean, there's still anything could happen. This is game number 3. It is match point. Curse Academy versus Fusion. But this time, no shenanigans from Fusion. Looking like they're going to be taking the standard lanes. It'll be the first time we've seen them do it in a while. But Curse Academy aren't taking any chances here, checking everywhere they can. Those saplings, they help out with that vision.
Yeah, and it looks like they want to start. He wants to start at the Raptors. You can do that as Maokai. You throw down all of your saplings. You make sure that you just AoE clear it very early, and then you can back level 2 TP top.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, they're going to send Diana up here as well. So we might still see the lane swap. They're so committed to this strategy. And now St. Vicious and Bunny checking out on a ward. Fusion's going to see that happening.
That's going to make Nintendo change his route very quickly, go into the Krugs, and then he's going to have to adjust to that and go elsewhere. Hanser doing the Raptors on the Maokai. Set himself up, and boom, level 2. And
Leveling
he's got
up on
a
that
big leg up now on that top lane. He's already got himself 4 CS, so that's worth a little bit less. But the fact he's level 2 and Macnoon is not going to hit that for a little bit.
Yeah, they're knowing exactly how they can share this one. And Macnoon, he was in a little bit of trouble last time, but Lissandra, she's going to ramp up mostly based on the experience anyways. And look at that. Dragon being started really quickly. Hanser might be able to tank this one up. He is pretty low here. Yeah, they've got to juggle this one because they really can't take the AoE. Bunny, they take a big bite out of him here, but they're juggling it perfectly. Another sneaky Dragon start, and and Fusion just don't know this one's happening.
They're going to check it this time, though, because it happened last time. It's basically fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice.
This could be dangerous for Curse Academy.
No more free Dragon.
Uh-oh.
You just get him into the pit. It's a lot of damage.
They jump on into Nintendo. Although the Flag Drag is out, Hanser's low. He has to burn his flash. Macnoon, he wants first blood. He can smell it, but the heal is out. Cop joins the party. Macnoon is low. The bubble is up. Keen getting chased away by Huhi. Macnoon is down. That's first blood going over to Cop.
The amount of damage that this early dragon does is ridiculous. Of course, you're not supposed to be able to do the dragon that early. It does so much damage, so that when people start aggroing it and you're no longer juggling it, it does a ridiculous amount.
They still come out with a kill at the end of the day, so a win-win situation for Curse Academy. Macnoon by himself in this bottom lane does get that level up, and he has a significant CS lead on Hanser, who was kind of a little bit preoccupied, but he'll take his charge up to meet Niantanso, and very soon Glebe Garbu.
Very, very big risk for them to try that, but then it seemed to backfire on Fusion as opposed to Curse Academy.
Yeah, it was a little bit strange that they scattered a little bit. That synergy seems to have been disrupted a bit. Fusion looking less sure of themselves in the skirmishes that they were able to take so well in earlier sets.
And now, Niantanso, he got set up from Champion Select. He's got a champion that he's very comfortable on. He's got the lane swap for himself. He made sure that Bunny, Fufu, and Cop don't get their favorite champions. But what can Fusion do this game with all of those conditions that they've set up for themselves that seem to work for them in the game against Final 5? They're going to do it this game, And if they do end up winning this game, can they continue to do it, or are Curse Academy just going to throw more adjustments at them?
Now, Curse Academy hasn't had to adjust too much this time, just a couple of bans thrown their way, but again, St. Fish is very comfortable with that jungle Karthus, saving that one in the pocket for when he's needed it. This time they don't try to ban him out, and he had his pick of the litter. Keen now, he's looking pretty confident at level 4, dealing with Huhi, but he takes a few shots as well. Got to be careful, Nintendude is hanging in the brush. Oh, he's revealed. Keen.
Flash available, but
yep, and he's got the shadow step. He won't need it.
Doesn't even close the distance.
Nintendude has been showing face here, but he hasn't really been able to make anything happen just yet. Glebe in the end zoning Hanser off of this farm, but he's still staying strong.
Yeah, so a big thing here is Hanser got that advantage from doing the Raptors early. But here's the thing, Lissandra is a lot better at farming in a 2v1 lane than Maokai is. He throws out the saplings, but the cooldown on that, the mana cost, Lissandra gets free spells every now and then from her passive, and the fact that her cooldown on her Q is fairly low, she can always pretty much stay in the lane and just chuck out her Q. The Ice Shard just gets some damage. So he's actually in a better spot. You can see that with the 21 farm that he's accumulated for himself. Some of that is jungle creeps, but we know 4 of Hanser's are definitely jungle creeps. So he's only really gotten 8 CS for himself. And the fact that the bottom lane of Cop and Bunny had ended up fast pushing it to the turret, and then Macnoon showed up and just got a whole lot of that farm. You can see that with his level advantage too.
Yeah, Cop and Bunny have been doing a pretty good job, but Macnoon, you're right. He solo farms this a lot better. He's getting some help from Glebe now, and he's got to be just breathing a sigh of relief this game that he hasn't had to deal with what he had to last game. When he was hamstrung like that, you could see the entire team suffered.
Yeah, and also the fact they lane swapped it is really good for this top lane, because Lissandra kind of gets shut down by Maokai later on, like pretty like mid-late game. Can't take the glacial path when you're rooted or when you're knocked up.
Or you're just displaced.
Yeah.
It's a little bit difficult, but Macnoon's staying pretty safe on this one. Again, he just has such a farm advantage over Hanser when he does rejoin the lane. You should start to see that a little bit of an imbalance in Fusion's favor. St. Vicious now, again, he doesn't have to leave the jungle. He's a little bit low, but he manages to pick that one off. Going back to base. Buy some items.
The jungle is very risky now. Counter jungling, it's even scarier for a lot of people. You sit in the jungle and you basically feel like you're in some very scary rainforest. You don't know what's gonna kill you.
Yeah, those new monsters, man, they look so intimidating.
Yeah, but then like the poachers come out too, and they're like, oh, I could get a Krug, or I could get a person.
And you have the Stalker's Blade to deal with.
Yeah. Oh man.
Smiting people's a lot of fun, man, but it's not fun to get smited. Now Nien is pushing back Hanser, puts a couple of bullets in his back, and he just chases him off this farm. It's a hard life for a tree in that top lane, and Nien's just proving it solo right now. St. Vicious going to be moving up for a lane gank, see if they can bait them into a false sense of security in the end. He's been caught in previous games so far, so good, but here we go.
The appropriate thing to do in a 2v1 or a 1v1 like this, where you're the AD carry, is to zone the top laner off of the farm. But when you zone him, you go a little too far. Just like that.
Yep, there we go. Wall of Pain, and the trap is baited. He burns 2 summoners and a teleport from Macnoon coming out to get him off, and that is a good trade if they get out with their lives, but will they? Macnoon's got level 6 right now, looking for a target for the Ice Tomb. He's going to land it on St. Vicious. They're looking for more of the Ice Shard. Dashing in, double tap. The Entanzo doesn't have the damage to finish it. Hanser with the tank. And he will back off his culling. Nobody goes down. A close call, but Fusion almost coming up ahead.
Hanser, no mana to hit Entanzo towards the turret, but at the same time, they both get away. Everybody gets away with their lives. Just summoners spent from Saint and Niantanzo, as well as the teleport.
They did make him answer back, and now, yeah, Hanser's teleporting in to defend and to pick up that little bit of farm here, but really nice movements by Fusion this time. They are making some adaptations. Taking this blue buff, giving it over to Huhi.
The fact that Macnoon is more on like a playmaker. Big thing though is that he ended up dying very early on because of that dragon. So it delayed him a tiny bit, but it did make the bottom lane push that way.
So what was really nice about what just happened there, Bunny sends the Howling Gale in to disrupt Nintendude and Huhi from taking the blue, and that forced them to back off, and the red buff takes the blue. So Nintendude ends up getting it instead of giving it over to Huhi.
Good call.
That was actually really cool. I don't know if like that was planned by Bunny, but it worked out really well.
Well, applying pressure to the blue buff is always a good idea because you don't want to give it up to somebody else. And you also want to make it so that the jungler wants to smite it because of the potential of a steal. It's why people contest it all the time. Even if they don't get it, they're just like, oh, he had to smite it. So now the jungler has a blue, J4 has a blue, not the Ezreal that has a tier.
Not to mention if something like Dragon is about to happen, they're pinging for that right now. don't have that smite available, you can't really use it. But of course, it's Saint that doesn't currently have the smite. He's not in position anyways, so they're just trying to secure up a little bit more vision. Nintendo X going to try and clear this one out. Dragon actually is aggroed though, and that's a nice move to chase everybody off that Dragon. Saint Vicious joining the party. The Scuttle Crab fight.
Ooh.
Oh, Nintendo says, I want that.
He already used his escape to kill the crab, so Saint just looking for some pot shots there. Doesn't get anything. Oh,
Yeah,
Cop.
Cop and Nian Tanso. Ooh, Spell Shield on very prematurely there. Doesn't need it for anything. Nian does take quite a lot of damage from Cop, though that DF Sword on either AD carry starts to make them hit a little bit harder.
One took boots and the other one took an extra blade. They both have the same range on them too, sitting at 500, so whenever one trades, the other one will be there to do just the same.
Indeed. Now Keen getting a sweep on that River Brush, making sure nobody's there. Blue Trinket popped as well on the other side. So lanes have reset pretty normal, but again, Maknoon is in a really good position over Hanser right now just because he's been so starved from this gold. He's leaving him alone to roam at the time, though. See if he can pick off a kill. This will be worth. If not, he's just giving up that experience, so he's kind of has to do something
Going after
here.
Keen.
He knows it. Oh, the flash. Oh, Ace Tomb. Keen,
Got
he's
him.
melted.
Oh.
Wait, he's not. Now he goes down. He gets the death mark off before, but that is only going to keep him alive for half a second. Saint dodging the True Shot barrage.
Instantaneous ultimate. Stops him right after the flash. He got the flash and the kill. Very, very worth there from Maknoon to just allow some CS to fall into Hanser's hands. And they're going straight for this Dragon.
Yeah, Fusion needed to control it last game. They weren't able to do it until the very end of that match, and they start off this Dragon. Now everyone from Curse Academy running to contest, trying to close this trap, but they may not be able to get there in time. Keen is still not anywhere in the picture. It gets smited down. That one's taken by Nintendo Dex. Now Saint Vicious trapped around the side. He goes down. They get a kill on top of it. Who he's going to get it? Saint's getting his ultimate off, but Cop and Bunny might be in trouble. Nintendo switching targets, forcing the flash, and Fusion coming up pretty good there.
Yeah, he did the flag drag flash for the knockup, but still swapped targets afterwards, and they couldn't focus anybody down. Meanwhile, Hanser, he's been getting some CS for himself, but he's still almost half of what Maknoon has for him. Good play by Fusion, capitalizing off the kill middle. Also, no more flash on Keen, so they can exploit that a tiny bit. And now the Dragons are even. Actually, sorry, Curse Academy don't have a Dragon. They were stunted in that first one.
All those Dragons from the last game start to carry over. It makes
just
it feel
the first
like
one going over to Fusion. Well, also they tried one, but then they ended up getting Maknoon at the start of the game instead.
Yeah, that would have been a very different
They were at a
fight right
Dragon.
there if they had.
It's the same one. It just died once. They visited it twice.
But finally, Fusion do take it. So they have themselves a little bit of a lead here. It's small, but they've got those extra battle stats, which give you those scaling up later on in the game, give you those little bit of item bonuses there. So Saint Vicious now, was a little out of position in that fight. He went in thinking he could maybe take the contest, maybe take the smite fight, but Fusion was anticipating that. They seem to have started to adapt quite well. And again, this is what we saw in the last set. They started to turn it around after 2 games. Maybe it takes them a little while to get rolling, but they're starting to get this lead. Now Cop's in a bit of trouble.
Alone.
Doesn't have any help here, and he's going low. He might go down. Double tap, and Nian Tanso coming up big.
That is the Nian Tanso that Fusion has been looking for in these last 3 games. Game 1 and Game 2 were not his games. Cop was rolling all over him. They changed up in Champion Select, ban out the bot lane a tiny bit, and he's finding success after that lane swap.
Very, very nice move in the 2v1 situation. Cop just far forward, and a rare mistake from him. And you can see Curse Academy starting to show some tears. It seems Nintendo now jumping onto Saint Vicious, making him think twice about recalling in the open air. Leave roaming around with him for some help as well.
Just all those wards that are set up in the enemy jungle. On Curse Academy's side, Fusion just has complete control of it.
Fusion did this really well in the later part of the Final 5 set as well, just especially controlling the opponent's bot side jungle. That's where they prioritize so much, and that's mostly to give an edge here, it seems, to Nian and Glebe. And Nian, the shot caller of that team, needs as much as he can get. Maknoon taking a little bit of damage in the top. Hanser's starting to scale up a little bit. Maknoon actually has to bail out of there. Whoa.
Yep. No, Maokai is extremely strong against Lissandra.
Even when behind.
Yes.
Of course, Maknoon only has a couple of Doran's Blades and a Fiendish Codex at this point, so he's not exactly ramped up himself. He just has that CS lead, but it's starting to dwindle.
Yeah, those rings are not coming too much in handy in comparison, but it's because of the matchup. It's the nature of the matchup, and that's actually going to allow Hanser to close this gap a little bit. He's actually got a level advantage, and he's going to try to all in here.
Yeah, he's going to Twisted Advance on, has a sapling, and kaboom!
Before
Hanser's
he can
able to
even
take him down.
ultimate himself.
Yeah, and Saint spends his ultimate as well. Doesn't actually need it there to be able to secure the kill, but that's quite all right. Again, St. Vicious insurance policy.
Yeah. The fact that Hanser went in, if Macnoon was able to ulti himself, St. Vicious's ultimate would have been able to kill right afterwards.
Yeah, and that gives them a lot of options going forward now. Whoa, here we go. True Shot Barrage going to hit Saint in the face, clear some waves up, and they won't be able to take that.
Huh?
It's quite nice. I do like the change.
Oh, no, the following of the True Shot Barrage, brilliant work there.
Love our observers.
Oh yeah, I love them too.
In this bot lane, Nien has started to shine. We can see it's not just the Lucian pickup, I think he's much more comfortable in general, and they're getting the support. That vision has come out big, but here we go. They're starting to rove around the map here. Macnoon, there's a death mark onto Huhi, though, but it's a 1v2. It might only end one way. However, the teleport's coming in for Hanser. Keen staying alive. How long can he last, though? They're going to jump onto Huhi, and he's down. He can't get his way out of that one. A 1-for-1 trade, though. Macnoon now running for his life, and they're going for more. Meanwhile, a tower was taken in the bot lane, but Hanser, the 1-2 switcheroo. Here comes Dude X. Macnoon tempting fate by sticking around Ice Shards. Hanser just waiting to get in with the Arcane Smash if he can, but Glebe is here. They might finally take down the tree. The bubble is up, and that's Macnoon coming up with a kill.
He had just gotten his Righteous Glory, too, after that back, and then TP'd in. And that looked like a fight that was going to go in favor of Curse Academy at the start, but then everybody started trickling in. Macnoon was there already with the ultimate and just able to lock it up. That ultimate from Lissandra, the Frozen Tomb, just so good. It's so much damage, and it's so much CC that Keen, he tries to cast it there, it doesn't go off. Comes back, there it goes onto Keen, and now Keen tries to get away, and then he's rooted too. And now Hanser comes up onto Huhi, and then that last shard ends up getting Keen.
Also, really good positioning by Macnoon to not get within tower range. He just hung right on the very edge of it. Nicely played. So with this one Fusion, they grab themselves a little bit more. They're just trading slightly better. They're not taking any huge, massive fights here. They're just taking those little skirmishes that they love to do and build themselves slightly better advantages.
Yeah, and the fact that Hanser popped his Righteous Glory to try and like juke Macnoon. He's like, if you come too close, and he tried to pop it and run across the Cataclysm faster than normal. Because when you're playing against somebody, you kind of track their movement speed subconsciously. You're like, okay, they'll be here very soon. And then if they get a burst, you're like, oh god, I didn't account for that. And it didn't work out because Macnoon played it a little safer.
He did do, and that is that bonus of experience. Of course, Macnoon been in the scene for quite a long time. It's nice to see him doing some professional level play as well. Get very, very close if they can take this series. They have a ways to come back, but now Cop, he's in trouble. Dude, they're chasing him down. Here's Glebe as well. Flag and drag just to slow him up for just a second. Bubble, and he's going to flash over it, but he's not going to be able to escape the Cataclysm. And Nien Tanzo getting the kill. They funnel the gold right to him.
Yeah, not able to use the spell shield to block the initial flag and drag, so then he pays for it, and he gets his flash and his heal blown for a Cataclysm, and then he ends up getting killed too. And that's going to be a dragon falling into the hands of Fusion here, because St. Vicious is on the other side of the map.
Yeah, really no way to contest this one again, and it's starting to look like the opposite of the last game. 2 dragons now going over to Fusion, and they just can't answer back on Curse Academy. Little edges, little advantages. That's how Fusion likes to play this game.
And Fusion, they've really played towards their strengths from Champion Select and in this game. Give Macnoon something that he's more comfortable on, give him something that can be a little more aggressive, that can trade, that can roam. And you have Nien in a better matchup, got him his early game that he needed to get through with Glebe, and now they're ready to rumble. They're picking up dragons. Nintendo's doing a great job of applying pressure, and Huhi, he's holding his own in this lane against Keen, which is something that wasn't happening before.
And his wave clear starting to get pretty beastly as well. It's really difficult for Curse Academy to try and take the extended sieges. They have a good chase down composition, but when the rest of the team is always there, how can you react to it? St. Vicious still hanging out in his own jungle. He really hasn't moved too far out of it, not really needing to, but he hasn't been able to make those opportunistic ults as well, and you can see Fusion, they've lost some of that fear.
Yeah, and at the same time, they have the heal up. The ultimate, it would be something that he'd have to be able to blow when they aren't grouped up. They're just getting a pick on the side on somebody. But like Lissandra wouldn't be affected by it if he ultied himself. There's a lot of things here. Even Glebe can just heal somebody, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think they really picked a comp effective to what they knew Curse Academy were going to try to throw at them this time. So again, it is a bit of a different comp than we saw the last 2 times. They adjusted the bans to compensate for what they were not able to deal with as well. But here we go, Glebe, gonna see that ward right there.
I like this. Huhi picked up an Iceborne Gauntlet for himself because there's so much movement speed on this team from Curse Academy between the Sivir ultimate, the fact that you have Janna on your team to just speed everybody up. then you have the Righteous Glory. This team is going to come running at you as the engage tool, and the fact that you have this Iceborne Gauntlet, you can kite them around. You can stop them from closing that distance. Really, really good choice there from Huhi over the Trinity Force.
Yeah, well, and Blue Build Ezreal has really been making a comeback on this patch,
Yeah,
especially
a lot
in
of
the
people
mid
pick
lane.
Trinity Force over it from what I've been seeing.
Ah, okay. I've actually seen more of the Iceborne myself.
Really?
Yeah. But I think it's split across the board. But yeah, Huhi has adapted this. He plays this one very, very well in the mid lane and going, you know, they don't really need the AP anyways too much because they've got Macnoon in the top who's going to be able to dish that one. Who's going to be able to dish that type of damage exactly. But it's a nice adaptation for Fusion. And here comes
Cobb has
Nintendo.
no flash.
Cobb,
They know
yeah,
this.
he can't get knocked out of this one. The Monsoon will knock Nintendo out of the way. Cobb is pretty low here, and he's going to get taken down by Niantanto. Teleport coming in for Hanser, but he's going to cancel it. That would be a bad situation to find yourself in, and they will just back away, losing one member to Fusion.
That looked like the spell shield of Kopp went off, but it absorbed the ultimate from Lissandra, but it doesn't stop the cast of it. So the cast actually still went, and it made the slow zone. So he was still slowed afterwards.
That's interesting.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. He got it off right then too. It doesn't just stunt the spell completely. It allows it to cast, but it doesn't do the damage on the initial cast of it. It affects the area still though, but it still damages you when you're on the area, and it slows you by 70%. Well, actually he's only rank 2, so it's not as high. It's the 45.
It's all good though, unless you're Kopp, he had a little bit of trouble dealing with that one. So Fusion definitely feeling some more confidence here. They've got more kills in the books, and they're continuing to shove around. It's 2 towers to 2 towers though, pretty even so far, a 20-minute game, but Fusion's confident that they can keep pushing this one in. They have some nice scaling this time, a little better than they did last game.
Huhi back to his split push. Remember, he likes to split push on every champion he's playing. So, it doesn't matter. If it's Ezreal against Zed, split push.
It's fine, you're able to get away. It's difficult though, don't try this at home.
Yeah, he's got a strategy book, and it's just one page. It's a strategy page, but it's got like nice hardcover on it.
And we open it up and one page says split, the other one says push.
Yep. Oh, he's got his own book there.
Speaking of books,
St. Vicious is much more diverse.
it's more red.
Yeah.
Kopp now, he's the one picking up that red buff. So the jungle vision control is kind of evaporated on this bottom side, but you can see the Theater of War has kind of moved up a little bit. A couple of wards scattered around the blue side top jungle. Fusion able to get those out, but not so much for Curse Academy. They've been relegated to trying to keep their own jungle lit up, and of course parts of the river, but a dragon is 1 minute and 38 away, and they're not going to want to give another one up to Fusion.
Yeah, Fusion sitting on the 2. Curse Academy really want that first dragon because that's one of the most gold spiky ones. It doesn't give you actual gold, but it gives you effective combat stats. And look at this.
Here we go, teleport in. They have put the Wall of Pain on already, but the Ice Tomb is mightier, and Macnoon comes up with a killing spree. They're going to take themselves a blue buff, but there is the Revenge ultimate. I don't know if they have enough damage to follow this one up. Kopp, he's on the hunt. He's going to find Gleep Glarbu. The wave is out, but he takes the spell shield way out. Macnoon coming right back in on Bunny Fufu, but here comes Keen, the 1-2 punch to get the shutdown, and he's got the death mark on. Shutdown again. Also, this time for Hanser, they find the end, and they find Macnoon, and they revenge St. Vicious with 2 kills of their own.
And it's a 2-for-1 there, and they get St. Vicious off the field, but he's going to be back up fairly shortly. And now Hanser, he blew his Righteous Glory to actually get towards that fight and help Keen close the distance.
Yeah, this time it's Curse Academy who have that number advantage, able to push up this mid and really taking advantage as soon as they can of every little edge that they get. And now the dragon is 30 seconds away. Everything's going to reset, and everyone's going to take a quick breather before that happens. It should be a real fight this time.
There's a Youmuu's Ghost Blade for Kopp in his inventory before even completing the Infinity Edge. So he wants that extra movement speed. Again, this team is so movement speed centric that it's crazy, and the fact that Huhi, I gotta say it again, got the Iceborne Gauntlet is really big. And then Gleep Glarbu got himself the Frost Queen's Claim immediately off the bat, as opposed to getting himself like the Mikhails.
Yeah, I think it speaks a lot to what they've been trying to do in the strategic diversity that these teams have developed in mid-series Fusion. They're really showing up here. It did take them a while before they were able to adapt, but now they are. Scuttlecrab down. Dragon is starting to be taken here, and only Keen is in the area. St. Vicious caught on the other side of the river. Third Dragon uncontested. It goes to Fusion.
Yeah, but Curse Academy still
Meanwhile,
struggling,
Scuttlecrabs.
and Huhi actually gets it over Saint.
That's just not looking good right there for Curse Academy. They need to get a little bit back into this one, but their jungle is being invaded. Macnoon, no fear going forward. They sweep this one. They're waiting for the death. Oh, they catch the bubble. Saint didn't know what hit him, and it looks like Bunny might follow. Here comes Huhi around the side. A 2 for none. Or
Yeah.
Actually, yep. No, I was like, Saint's not dead. Oh, Saint is dead.
It's a 2 for none. They are going to push down this mid lane here. They're going to start doing damage to this turret. They will probably get it for themselves. Double AD carry takes it so quickly.
Teleport's
but I don't know if it's
coming in,
before the TP.
Yeah, Hanser manages to get his way in there, and they're going to back off. The wave is cleared, but Fusion just starting to make the big moves. All they got to do is wait for that next wave to come in. They already have so much damage on this turret, and Curse Academy struggling to defend their own objectives.
These guys showed up. One of these teams will be in the LCS after today. In Curse Academy, they took the first 2 games. Fusion not making the third one easy and actually pushing back fairly hard.
That's a final boss fight for Curse Academy, really, but they've got to get back on their feet if they want to take this game. Fusion, on the other hand, looking to just stay alive in this one, and they are doing a pretty damn good job so far.
See Huhi, Muramana completed.
And the cooldown boots.
Yep. Ionian Boots of Lucidity. He is ready to just pump out these Qs.
Oh, and they're looking for Cop right now on the hunt. We'll keep him alive. He spell shields preemptively. You see he's really quick to use that spell, and that's something Fusion might be able to take advantage of going forward. But they've been controlling a good chunk of this riverside here, and they have the vision control over in the Baron. Not going to be an option for Curse Academy to try and check into that anytime soon. They have to worry about their front, though.
It's been a pretty farm-heavy game here. Hanser, he needs his Frozen Heart. When he gets that, it's going to be very effective against both Niantanso and Huhi. It's going to shut down a lot of their DPS, and it's going to make him even more durable, and the rest of his team, too.
Yeah, they really need that durability. They're just getting chunked down when they do get caught, and you can see how important this vision is. That last time, that 2 for none, Fusion just baiting the trap, and within seconds, people wandering right into it. Now, Nintendo this game, he's been roving around and making those fights happen for his team as well. So stepping up a little bit better on that Jarvan, and
yeah,
that's the kind of pick that he wanted.
When you have a higher than 1 KDA, you're doing better than your last performance, especially when you're sitting in 0 death still.
Yeah, he's got a factor of 6 KDA. Higher than he did the last time, so that's quite a lot better.
I don't know. Divided by 0 there.
I thought that was how you did it. You just don't count the 0. Same as 1 death. It's 1 for free.
Then it would be like, yeah, you could do kills per life. Die, you actually cut it in half.
Well,
because it's technically your second life.
I told you I was bad at math. Why are you doing this to me, man? Oh, money. Oh, boy.
Bad at math, too.
And he's bad at staying alive right now. There goes half of his Magi stacks. Now Nintendo, Glebe, and Nian are starting to push up the middle again. They're caught with their pants down. Curse Academy not in range to defend this one. Saint's not there. Cop's not there. They can't really push anything on the side. MacNoon is defending. And Fusion again coming up with an objective.
Saint not as effective this game on this Karthus. And here's the thing, too, is he can't flank as readily as he did before because his way to get in can be disengaged now. And the fact that in order to engage, he needs that extra movement speed, so he has to be around either Sivir, Janna, or the Maokai.
Yeah, Fusion, they're really controlling this pace quite a lot and realizing the limitations that Curse Academy's composition has. They're abusing them, and that's the adaptation that you need to stay alive here. They're doing the best they can to keep those LCS dreams going.
Huhi is going to go top and try to answer. He has his Last Whisper completed. Don't know how much that's going to do against Keen, though, who has both of his mid-game Power Spike items completed for the extra gold efficiency burst. He's sitting around. He's sitting on the side. Glebe is actually wrapping around. So if he goes in here, it's actually a 2-on-1.
Yeah, Keen having to bail out right now, realizing that they might be closing the net around him, but just scaring him away for now. The split push game is getting a little bit more difficult when the enemy team is able to 1v1 you.
Yes. Being a split pusher is usually about being a good duelist as opposed to just a tower destroyer.
Love what Huhi's doing here, just constantly sending out true shot barrages, see if he can catch somebody, see if he can grab a little bit of extra creep waves on it, and making sure he clears things just from afar. Really good use considering how low of a cooldown it has, especially with the CDR.
Yeah, it'll be back up in no time. Getting that extra farm off on the side waves is very important, especially since you're going to be up against somebody like Maokai. Haven't really seen these team fights that Hanser's been involved in, or this whole movement speed composition that wants to just run at you in team fight.
This has been one of the more conservative games from either team, actually. Fusion, they previously were just taking every fight they could. Now they're just baiting traps. And again, they love those skirmishes, but they've been making sure that the ones they take are ones they can win this game.
Yeah.
It seems like they've finally woken up.
So MacNoon has to stay over the power curve, and Huhi and Niantanso have to use their power before there's too much armor to deal with on Curse Academy's side. Picking double AD carry has that fallback and that risk. Or that downfall and the risk, not fallback.
I was going to say, fallback-wise, they do have an ability to do that. They have quite a lot of kite with Huhi's build. And as well as the Frost Queen's claim from Glebe Glarbu, a lot of disengage tools available to Fusion right now should they need them, and it's just a fail-safe mechanism. So we talked about Curse Academy having the St. Vicious insurance policy. Well, Fusion's got one of their own.
Dancing around the dragons up in 2 seconds. So they're trying to contest this mid lane and at least get some vision there, because Fusion's doing a great job of getting their pink wards down, getting their vision down. You don't want to get caught off guard by Lissandra.
They can't afford to lose this dragon, though. Curse Academy needs to get one in the books if they want to.
They're going to try to take the fight. They're going
for Hui, and they disengage. Can they take the fight? It's Macnoon taking down St. Vicious to start this one off. He's going to get Revenge Ultimate on. He's going golden as well, and Keen is going down to Hui.
Ooh.
Everyone's melting left and right, but it's mostly Curse Academy who are in trouble. Hanser's down. Bunny Fufu, the last man standing, and it may not be long. Nien Tanso getting that Hanser kill, and this could be Dragon, but they're looking just like for mid. No, it's a Baron.
They're going to go straight for this Baron here from Fusion. Instead of getting that 4th dragon of the game for them, they're going to try this.
This is a bit of a greedy move, but there's no reaction here. As long as they can finish it off, it's perfectly fine. Macnoon on Fountain teleporting on in, not even healing it all up. This Baron is starting to evaporate. This looks like it's going to work for Fusion, and they have just turned up the heat this game. 31 minutes in, and there it goes.
Double AD carry shreds Baron so quickly. And they still have some time.
And they're starting up the Dragon with the True Shot Barrage. Style points for Huhi this game.
I don't know. I think it's going to reset. Yeah, it's going to reset by the time he gets there.
Uh-oh. They're going to find Bunny. Macnoon, he's pretty low, but he has enough damage, and he's got the ultimate Bunny. Fufu goes kaboom. Hanser joining this one, trying to maybe make a desperate Dragon steal, but nothing doing. A Baron, 4 dragons. Fusion rolling on forward.
Yeah, Fusion, level 17 on Macnoon, level 17 on Huhi. Poor level 12, Bunny Fufu walked into the wrong side of the forest there.
Yes, he did. He goes back to Fountain after the fact. Cop and Sane are going to try to grab a mid turret after this one, but things are starting to look dire for the Curse Academy side. This is where the gold starts to get out of control. The Baron buff, the Dragon buffs, everything is starting to hurt Curse Academy.
Yeah, so in that last fight that we saw, Hanser was looking for a backliner, but had to use his W's, Twisted Advance, onto Nintendo when he came into the fight. And Nintendo just put his Cataclysm down, stopped Saint from reaching the backline, stopped everybody from reaching the backline with the movement speed, zoned Cop out of the fight, and then they picked off everybody. Macnoon went in, ultied himself, Zonia's, like, no problem staying alive there for Macnoon.
Yeah, now with this Baron buff, they're able to keep on pushing forward. Those little advantages Fusion netted in the early game just keep on rolling.
And that's kind of the counter to this composition too, is the fact that they have so much movement speed and that's their engage tool, is the Jarvan. The Jarvan's just going to lock them up, keep them in a Jarman, and just keep them all right in that little spot. And you can't reach Nien Tanso.
Yeah, it's really hard for them to really get to that backline, and also Nien Tanso staying safe. Both the AD carries here have a solid dash ability. Macnoon has a gap closer. Glebe Glarbu, he's able to force the disengage with the Nami tidal wave as well. There's really no way to catch this team if they don't want to be caught unless you're so far ahead. And Curse Academy, they've got a long way to go.
And Fusion going for Keen.
He's not nearly as stealthy as he thought he was. Can he get out of this one, though? This is dangerous. Meanwhile, up in the top, Macnoon gets shut down by a 2-man hit squad. Can Keen return the damage? The wave comes out going. Which way were they? Keen, he's going to be able to pick off Glebe. Looking for more, but it's not going to happen. Huhi will answer back, but that really could have been worse.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Curse Academy, and they get 2 Baron buffs off the field. Macnoon was split pushing with the Baron buff, trying to do a 1-3-1 with a 3 roaming bottom. And now Nien Tanso finally joins us, but they shred these turrets.
They do shred them incredibly fast. Man, that just goes right down there, and they don't have too much of a defense. Cop is trying to split up on the top lane, while Macnoon and Glebe are still on cooldown, but the defense is here, and it looks like Huhi's going to send the True Shot Barrage all the way across the way. Can he land it onto Cop? I don't think he knows what's coming for him, and there he goes. He's still taking a big bite of that turret, though.
He's still going to get it, though.
Yep.
But how much is he going to pay for it?
Well, Nintendo, oh, he stops to try to hit the creep, and he doesn't even get he auto cancels. Whoa, Nintendo, wait a minute.
He doesn't have Kata.
He's trying to bait this one. Cop is getting a little thirsty for this kill. Glebe Glarbu's there, so is Macnoon. I don't think this is a good idea, Cop. Your spell shield's gone, and so are you.
So Cop saw that he was
needed backup.
He was getting wrapped around there by Niantanso, and he's going to run into that. So he decides to go into 10 dude and possibly get a kill, but he saw the Tricolor's blessing. He knew that Nami was right off on the side, and he still risked it.
Got to lay everything on the line when you can, but he needed a bit more help on that one. MacNoon now going to be able to go back to doing the split push. They've been doing this one all game. It's starting to pay off for them, even if Mac needed to go down earlier. Here's Keen lying in wait around the side for the flank if he can, but there's no one here to defend this tower. St. Vicious is still making a move there. Bunny, this tower gets shredded so quickly. Maybe they can close the net, but there's no turret there. There's going to be no inhibitor. Saint's getting poked out. Keen reveals without any damage. They find the Ice Tomb. He's going to come back, and he's going to try to juke away, but now he's in the cage with no cooldowns on, and they take him down. Nintendo getting that one, looking for Hanser now. He's twisted advancing on to Nintendo. Double kill for Hui. Bunny Fufu trying to reset the fight, but it looks like it's already over. Fusion coming up with 3 kills and an inhib, maybe more. That's going to be number 4. They can push on forward. Inhibitor is down. They might try to end the game right here.
They don't have Baron buff. They don't have minions. They don't really have that much HP either. It looks like they're looking to just try and get this wave, but no, it's a surrender
vote. Oh my goodness, Curse Academy. Wow, they just totally throw in the towel for this game and are thinking about the next. So Fusion staying alive in this series.
When Fusion have their backs against the wall, they kind of just bare their fangs and they come out strong. That was a really good composition, really good adjustment from Champion Select, where they banned out and gave Niantanso the lane that he needed. They also put Hui on something that he has a good lane against Keen. Keen picked that Zed pretty early on, and they prioritized that.
Yeah, it just never got off the ground. They did their damnedest to really make the plays, but this time Curse Academy might have to mix it up just a little bit. They were playing the tried and true, playing the things that they'd really been practicing without much variation. But going forward, we're going to go ahead and see what happens in game number 4. It's going to be a match. We've got a game on our hands here, Zyrene.
Yeah, MacNoon actually ended up doing the most damage that game.
Not surprised.
By a tiny margin over Hui, but at the same time, the fact that he's on a champion where he can deal that type of damage is really big, and that he can get his feet off the ground and start getting into the game as a big source of just DPS, aggression, play to his style. Like Kassadin, lane swapped very poorly, wasn't able to get its feet off the ground, and was very low in levels and gold, so was never effective. Whereas Lissandra's pretty much effective at all points, and he can roam on that champion too, and that is how he got to effectiveness.
Well, and a big thing about this last game, I think, was the difference between the game 1 and this current game 3 jungle Karthus for St. Vicious. Last time, he trusted his laners to kind of nearly get the kill, and then he secured it up by taking the Requiem. And this time, he really never had that opportunity. I think we only saw a handful of Karthus ults, and most of them happened after he was already dead, just opportunistically.
Yeah, I feel like the big thing here is that the Jarvan finally came to a good use and was able to cataclysm people who had movement speed increases on them to try and reach the backline, kept Nien safe. They were able to peel for Nien with both Lissandra ulti going in. Like when somebody's diving you with their front line, your front line becomes very defensive sometimes. So then their back line is hitting your front line and your back line. So that was kind of what Niantanso got to do that game. Also the fact that they adjusted their picks and bans, they took them off of their comfort champions, and then they made it to game 4.
All that resulting in that victory. So they'll stay alive in this one, and we're going to take not a quick break. We're going to send it over to Dash, who's got an interview standing by over on the stage.
Thank you, guys. I was lucky enough to find in the crowd Max Atlas Anderson, who's actually a caster over in the Oceanic region. Max, first to start off, how are you enjoying the game so far?
Oh, it's been fantastic. It's actually the first time...
Oh, we lost sound in your mic. There you go.
Thank goodness, we're back. I've actually really enjoyed being in the crowd. It's been a new experience. I actually have never been in the crowd before for one of these events. I've always been yelling at people from over in the caster desk.
Exactly, yeah. As a play-by-play caster, you're generally very much in the moment. Having had the opportunity to sit back in the crowd and really analyze these games, let's take a moment to look back at this series. Curse coming out of the gate strong, starting out 2-0, and they seem to control the games pretty well, even more so in the second game, recontrolling that dragon and kills across the map. But then things starting to fall apart a little bit in game 3.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And they got the team comp that they wanted in the first 2 games in a row. There was nothing that Fusion did to stop Curse Academy from just doing what they were doing in the first game. And they were really, really comfortable. Cops on his super comfortable Corki. This guy loves Corki, always has. Finally, in the third game that Fusion managed to win, they banned that one away. They banned the Thresh. The Bunny is just my favorite play of all time is Bunny's Thresh against Doublelift in their game in the promo tournament. And if he gets that champion, they often win. It's just ridiculous. This guy is just so good. So the changes that they made in this third game are really what allowed them to do that. And Cop on Siva, like, it didn't really sell it for me.
Right, so some good adjustments by Fusion going into that pick ban phase, third game. Yeah. I do have to agree with you. I think I'd have to question the fact that Curse Academy jumped at the Zed right off the bat there, as opposed to picking up that Lucian. I mean, Corki and Lucian are definitely sitting at the top of the 80 carry table right now. And if you ban out Corki on red side, you're begging for the for blue side team to first pick that.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that they had so much hard engage and massive amounts of CC. How you deal with a Zed, of course, is exactly what Macnoon was doing throughout that mid game. He just comes in, throws out that claw, and no matter what Keen does with his shadow, he's gonna get caught by that frozen tomb. And he is going to die because there is enough burst damage in that lane in order to finish him off. And so he was just unable to get that snowball. And Keen Zed, I mean, it is great, but it was slowly, methodically winning him the first two games. It wasn't necessarily being this gigantic threat that Zeds can be. And he needed to be a little bit more in that third game, and he just wasn't there with it.
So now we've seen Fusion throw Curse Academy off their game. If they're going to regroup, we need to see them do it in Champion Select. I mean, St. Vicious, he pulled out the Jungle Karthus first game, very successful. Not so successful this time around because he didn't get it rolling. So, I mean, what do you think they need to do here in Champ Select to get back to that kind of dominating style that they had in the first two games?
I think they just need to mix it up a little bit and put Bunny back on an engaged support. Anything that can really make plays, because on Janna's generally you're going to sit back, you're going to tornado, you're going to peel, you're going to try and get that monsoon working in order to get your team out of situations that you're otherwise caught in. But if he's on one of these Threshes, like, throw him on a Leona. Like, I don't mind. Just something that can let him make the decisions and make these plays around the map. I want to see that happen. St. Vicious maybe on something that can make plays a little bit more as well. I mean, I saw his Kha'Zix. I mean, that's not necessarily in the meta at the moment, but something that can get in there and do some work. Maybe just pick away the Jarvan. I mean, Nintendo's been picking that over and over again. Make him uncomfortable. We saw him, like, with his 1 KDA that Zyrene was talking about in the second game. Doesn't matter. I mean, he was still managing to make plays. He's still comfortable on that champion. Get him off it. You may as well throw him a curveball.
All right, well, things are definitely heating up in this series. We'll see how they play out in Game 4, and I think we're just about ready for that, so we're going to send it back over to Pyra and Zyrene to get us into it.